Hey guys, thanks for joining me. I messed up yesterday's recording. I must have accidentally double pressed the screen and ended up not recording myself. So I'm here again with just a little bit of growth today, but a beautiful razor to share with you. And this is a Dubl Duck Dwarf, kindly restored and sent to me by Mike from Duke City Vintage Shaving, and I will put the link below, and we'll talk more about the razor as we go along. Today, keeping with the sort of orange theme of the scales, I've got my orange Razor Rock 400 brush, and the soap I've got on there is Pharaoh's Dreamsicle, a very pleasant orange scented soap. Now my brush has been sat there for a few minutes, so I'm just going to work that lather a bit more, and I have been experimenting today with the bowl from the Byron shaving company that John sent me that is under development. He temporarily called it the lather churn for want of a better name, and some of you have made suggestions. But here is the bowl. I like this one. It has a smaller diameter than the Lather Master because of the lip, but it hasn't got that lather bump in the bottom. And that somehow makes the bowl feel a little bit bigger. I like this one very much. Well, I've liked them all so far, but this one works very well for me. As it doesn't have the rubber base, it does ring a bit if you catch it with your razor. My nail didn't quite work there, but it's wide enough so you don't do that very often. Anyway, let's get going with this soap. A sterling soap is always very good quality. Just using the ends of this brush to put the soap onto my face. It's super soft. And we'll see if I can have another really good shave with this Dubl Duck Dwarf razor. I've always wanted a Dubl Duck razor, and now thanks to Mike I've got one. And the Dubl Duck Dwarf is half an inch smaller, or the length of the blade is half an inch smaller than other popular Dubl Duck razors. I find it to be very manoeuvrable and easy to use in that respect. I'll just dry my hands. There we go, so we can see here it's a smaller razor, it has that sort of squared American end. I have just dulled the very corner of that, but nevertheless it is still a reasonably sharp edge, and I did nearly catch myself with it. I stretched one piece of my skin, and as I moved towards a piece that wasn't stretched, it was just a little fold of skin, it was close, let's put it that way. The scales on here are very nice indeed. The colour of this is called Gold Rush, although Lee suggested it might equally be called Burnt Butterscotch, which is a very nice description. It puts me in mind of making butterscotch sweets on a warm plate so the sugar stays fairly viscous and turningless. Anyway, let's get going today with this shave. So this is a very, very fine razor, and it's very sharp. You'll be surprised to know, but 2-pass shave, and it is in parts, leaving me a little bit sore for a few hours. So it's a razor that I'm getting used to. And this will be my 4th shave with it, but it certainly is, or it certainly has a very keen edge indeed. It is starting to feel more smooth as I shave with it. Obviously I've stropped it in between usage. Got my damp cloth today to wipe the blade on. Yes, I've stropped it between usage, and I feel that the blade is definitely becoming more comfortable and feeling a little less aggressive. But it is very, very fine. I think if you had a sharpened pencil and drew a line with a ruler on a piece of paper, that would be about the thickness of the blade where it comes into contact with the skin. What I like about this is that Mike has had to rescale this, and the scales are quite wide, and they, although they're not heavy at all, in feel they give the razor a little bit more they make it feel more substantial. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, guys, I fell asleep this afternoon, and quite some hours later, I still don't know whether I'm coming or going. It's awful when that happens, isn't it? This reminds me of a razor that I was loaned when I was starting to learn to shave with a straight razor. And it was a J.A. Henkel's razor, an extra hollow ground razor like this, 5/8, and it was as sharp and as fine as this one. And as back then my technique was somewhat wanting, it always left me feeling a little bit red raw, and this razor has some of that feel to it. It has got a superb edge. Apparently it was finished, for those of you that are interested in such things, on Japanese natural stones. Now, I'm unsure about those. Perhaps some of you can let me know. But you have one base stone to work on, and then lots of smaller stones to raise different levels of slurry, or slurry with different levels of fineness. I know they are very expensive, Japanese natural honing stones. I'm definitely getting the hang of this razor now. I'm feeling a lot more at ease with that pointed end. I've been reading some very old essays, for want of a better word, about shaving with a straight razor. And one is called The Art of Shaving. This is a popular thing to read, and the other one is called The Art of Honing. Very interesting indeed. I found a couple of PDFs, so I'll put the link to the site where you can just go and read these sort of essays, if you like, about shaving. But one of them does say that the pointed end of the American style razors is the cause of most cuts, or nearly all cuts, with a straight razor. So and I can understand why that would be. For me, it was just to demonstrate, as I sort of pulled this part of my skin here, but as I went towards the centre here, and this is a bit loose, it just started to sort of get a little bit of a hold of the skin there, just get under that little bit of curve, and easy to do. Oh, it's a lovely scented soap, Pharaoh's Dreamsicle. I had to look then, I nearly said popsicle. But indeed, I think that's what it smells like, an orange, what we would call it a nice lolly over here. Very, very pleasant indeed. I hope the light's alright in here, guys. It's been a miserable July over here in my part of the UK so far. It has rained and rained and rained, and we have had constant cloud. It's not like any July I've ever seen, I don't think. There we go. Beautiful brush that is, really beautiful. So I'm going to fold my cloth over so I can continue to use it on a clean side. And we'll go for a second pass. Now Mike, knowing that I'm a bit of a history buff when it comes to razors, has very kindly included a little bit of information about the history of the company that made these razors. They started in the 1920s out of Bresnik, New York. and they brought in blades made by different companies in Germany. It seems to be a common thought that Dubl was one of those companies that made blades for this company, but they had a number of trademark names for their razors. So Dubl Duck was one. Brummel, you've heard me talk about those on the channel, was another trademark. And there was one called Deutsch, and there may have been others as well. In the 1930s, they became Dwarf Duck Incorporated. Well, you know, you don't think you're getting much hair off, but actually looking at that damp cloth there, taking quite a lot off there on the second pass. Anyway, in 1947 they became Dwarf Duck, and then the company closed out in 1952. Now on the back of my little razor it says Dwarf Duck, Dubl Duck, registered at the US Patent Office, and there you can see the two little ducks there. So that dates this razor very nicely from between 1947 up until 1952, which is fantastic. Now Mike said this was in terrible condition. I'm paraphrasing, I think. He might not have said terrible, but it wasn't in great condition when he started to restore it. But just goes to show what a fantastic job a good restoration does on a razor to bring it back to life from 1947 to 1952. That's one of the things I really love. About shaving with a vintage razor. I wonder who owned this little Dubl Duck Dwarf. I wonder, eh? It's such a fine edge on this. I feel like I have to be a little bit careful with it. It's a slightly strange experience, because obviously I've shaved with a variety of straight razors. But I don't think any of my razors have felt quite so keen as this one. And I'll just read to you a little bit of information from one of those essays that I was talking about. I thought this was quite interesting. It is written at a time when obviously people were starting to be interested in self-shaving rather than going to the barbers. And it says, for self-shaving, none answers the purpose so well as the wedge-shaped blade. Always avoiding the hollow ground or so-called rattlers used by barbers. They are so thin the edge will spring on a coarse beard and will not cut so well. Now, I don't know if that is true or not. I don't really have enough experience with a straight razor to make such a comment or to decide whether it's true or not. I could just feel that sharp point there, guys, as I was just doing this bit with the lower part of the blade. The top part was just making a slight crease in the skin there, perhaps. And also, I really do not have a very coarse beard or coarse growth at all, but I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that. I mean, who's to say whether the fellow that wrote the book knew what he was talking about or not? There we go. It's very easy to wipe the blade on a damp cloth over the edge of the basin. Thank you to Dave, who has been on at me to do that for ages. He has been recommending it as a way of stopping the moisture getting in this part of the razor here. And I think I've finally come round to it. So Dave, thank you very much for your recommendation. Yeah, it works great. So that's it for me, a 2-pass shave of that. Now, I've not had a perfect shave with it. I've had better shaves with some of my other razors, but particularly up here and up here, I feel a little bit sore. So that razor is sort of, I don't know, it's getting very close to the skin, certainly on these bits, to make me a little bit sore. But I've had better shaves with other razors that feel very, very comfortable. And that sort of side of shaving with a straight razor is something I'm still kind of exploring and learning about. And I'm unsure whether it is something to do with the razor and the blade itself being so fine, or to do with the way that it's honed. It's possibly a combination of both. But a very nice razor, very interesting to shave with, and it is a very lovely little Dubl Duck Dwarf. Very pleased with this. Absolutely fantastic. So guys, I'm going to just put on, I'm going to wipe my face first of all. And I'm just going to put on a little bit of Avon Care Men Sensitive Aftershave Balm and Moisturiser. today, just something very simple. Oh yeah, now that I've put this on, I wished I'd put on some alum. Just to help. I'm burning a little bit here. It's a very unusual razor, not the type of razor that I'm used to. So it'll be interesting to see how I progress with this. And where my shave, oh, down there, wow, begins to feel a little more comfortable. And I just wonder, have you got a razor like this that seems, I don't know, sharper than your other razors? Anyway, that's my beautiful Dubl Duck. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, John, for letting me test drive your bowl. I could wear it there, couldn't I? No. That's enough of that. I'll see you guys again for a shave. You take good care. I'll catch you around. Bye bye now.